Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is Damir Savanovic. As mentioned, I come from an organization called Cloud Security Alliance. So as we've been sitting here for a while, I have a question for you. I would actually request if you're all able to stand up, please. Yeah, everyone, please. Yes. Yeah, okay. So just to understand, who of you has heard of Cloud Security Alliance before? Please sit down. Okay, a few of you sat down. Great. So thank you. Let's all sit down and let's move with the presentation. So I just wanted to understand how familiar you are with the organization that I come from. And it's a global non-for-profit organization. We've been around for 10 years, pretty much as long as cloud has been around. We have over 100,000 individuals all around the world who volunteer and help with the cause that we are doing. And our cause is actually to mature let's say the ecosystem of cloud, because we've been talking about digitalization today, IoT, artificial intelligence, and many other things. But like, what do we do about the security? So we are industry driven. We have over 55 chapters all around the world. Many organizations, over 400 players in the industry are working with us, and our working groups include artificial intelligence security, IoT security, quantum safe security, many others. And all of our research is freely available. I believe that's very important, that so much knowledge is already available on the internet or in the ecosystem. Please use it. And I'm going to talk about cybersecurity today and a cloud. So if you're aware, earlier this year, actually in June, European Commission has introduced the European Cybersecurity Act, which is great news. And one of the main objectives is obviously to increase the level of trust in the ICT. So about everything that we are talking today, I don't know if I'm the only paranoid person in this room, but I also ask about what about the security? Is it secure? How are we going to use it? So European Commission is addressing that with the Act and is also providing common cybersecurity requirements, and ENISA is new cybersecurity agency in Europe. They've been around before as a European Network and Information Security Agency. They have a quite challenging task to do to build on existing best practices and to help us out. So usually when we talk about, let's say, building trust, we talk about certification. This is just a case from one of the providers, Microsoft, but other big cloud providers have a similar set of schemes that they are complying with, which is great, right? I mean, it gives us some level of trust, but does it really? From the perspective of user, I really think it looks more like this. You know, like a common user doesn't really understand all of this. What does it mean? What should I look for? It looks more like this. And that's a problem, I believe. And then the other thing, like all of the other providers which don't have the budgets of Microsoft's, Amazon's, Google's, and similar big providers, they cannot compete against that. They don't have the budgets for compliance to invest in 50 different schemes that are out there. So Cloud Security Alliance is doing a lot in this area to help the industry. I'll be sharing the presentation later. I have a lot of slides. Some of them I will skip. But just to give you an example, Cloud Control Matrix is the first cloud-specific set of security requirements that is freely available and you can use to either vet your cloud service providers, or if you're a service provider, to show the security posture of your services. And then we have also 3 different levels of assurance based, based on your needs, because not every company has the budget to be the highest assurance and doesn't even need because the risks are not there. There's a logo that is not very seen at the bottom. It's called EUCA. And actually, EUCA project I'm very proud of, as Slovak Ministry of Finance has been one of the partners involved in the project. And I'm going to talk about 2 main topics that I really would like you to remember today. One is multi-party recognition framework, and the second one, continuous auditing-based certification. So I'll touch base on multi-party recognition framework. Is like, what did we want to do with that? What is it? It's actually trying to help cloud security providers not to spend all of their security budget on compliance, but actually have some money left for actual operational security, and all the other stakeholders to understand how the certification landscape looks like and how it works, and actually to streamline that efforts. So first year of the project in 2017, we have looked at many different security requirements that we have been using in the projects. Together around 800 security requirements from almost 30 source documents. So what we have found out is that over 70% of security requirements, after performing a gap analysis against the cloud control matrix, they are equivalent. So, which in practical means if you take standard A compared to standard B, 70% of work you just repeat. Isn't that a waste of time and money? And then the next 16%, there are partial gaps. So it means that it partially covers, there are some things to be added, and then only 13% are, let's say, new requirements between different standards, which means there's so much reiteration on the market when we talk about certification, about standards, and we really wanted to do something to help the ecosystem, actually the industry about it. So we have built a framework with the process lifecycle where we actually did like 3 main steps. We evaluated all relevant security requirement frameworks, schemes, laws, and this is a framework that can take in whichever new set of security requirements comes on the market. So first we evaluate it against the principles, criteria, and requirements that we have defined. And based on the evaluation, we do the execution. In execution, we actually do the actual comparison of those security requirements. And yeah, we put it in a repository, EUCA repository of requirements. And then on top of it, we have defined the governance processes, because we understand that every framework needs to be alive because the landscape is changing, the standards and the security requirements are being updated, or new requirements being introduced, so we need to have a process for that. So that was great, and we also actually, let me just go back for a second. We also did a couple of pilots, and one of the pilots was also with the Ministry of Finance of Slovak Republic, that showed that this really can help organizations to streamline their compliance efforts, and actually in cases where you don't have the, let's say, existing security requirements, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but try to use the best practices. And if you really believe you're that special snowflake, let's focus on that specifics. Let's focus on 10% that really matter to you, and use the other 90, or even if it's 80 or 70%, that's already, let's say, common in the market. Let's focus on what matters. That's important. And then, as I was mentioning before, in also Cybersecurity Act, which introduces, when we have high level of risks, when we need high level of assurance, like regular standardization or like certification and assurance is just not good enough. We want to do it continuously. So what we have introduced is, again, a model where instead of doing a certification or an audit once per year, you know, what if you could be able to decide if you want to do a security check on a minute, an hour, week, depending on, let's say, your security risks and posture there. So again, we built 3 different levels of assurance based on what you need. And this is just quickly a methodology, how it works. I will not go into detail, but just for you for reading after. First, you need to do the preparation, and then we have the automated execution for continuous auditing that actually can help you. We ran a pilot on one of the partners on the project, CaixaBank from Spain, from the financial sector, where they have higher level of assurance needed. It worked. It was great. So I ran through because I'm aware of the time. For the conclusions, what is very important for everyone in this room and wider to understand that we have a wide cloud certification landscape, and the Cybersecurity Act is in danger of adding just one scheme on top of it. Is it really going to help? We don't know. But we work closely with ENISA and the European Commission to actually help to simplify and clarify this landscape and actually provide guidance and help users to understand, you know, which services they can trust and yeah, what is important, and actually help the European SMEs to be competitive on the market, because they don't have the money to compete with 50 certifications of big providers. And yeah, that's actually something that we are happy if you would. I don't think we have time for questions. Just a couple of links. Go on our website. All the information that I've been talking about is freely available. Take a look. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So, thank you.